Hello Blockchain Nation, what up YouTube? Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button so you can get weekly notifications whenever I release videos. So let's get right to it. A couple of weeks ago I did a video on the CBN, Central Bank of Nigeria, and how Central Bank has banned cryptocurrencies. Looking back at that video, I think I was very emotional about it, and so the points and the arguments I was making was more of a Twitter rant. I was not specifically, I don't think it was precise in terms of giving you guys enough information to reinforce or to explain why it's very, very important that Nigeria handles this very, very well, and in my opinion, not ban cryptocurrencies. So I'm going to give you a very objective view. We're going to look through CBN's response. Central Bank has responded not too long after that over the series of people complaining and people making all sorts of raising concerns. So this is the Central Bank's response, and we're going to go over this, and then we're going to give you my opinion of what I feel, what my opinion is about the Central Bank's response. So here's the Central Bank's directive. And so they mentioned a couple of things. It says, they mentioned that for those who are not conversant with the universe of cryptocurrencies, it's important to state that cryptocurrencies are digital or virtual currencies issued by largely anonymous entities and secured by cryptography. Cryptography is a method of encrypting and hiding codes that prevent oversight, accountability, and regulation. This, in my opinion, is extremely flawed. The first thing they said was, in their way of defining what cryptography is, it says that largely anonymous entities and secured by cryptography, that it's a method of hiding codes and preventing oversight, accountability, and regulation. So let's look at what the definition is. Layman's term of cryptography. Cryptography is the practice and study of techniques for, look at the word here, secure communication in the presence of third parties called adversaries. More generally, cryptography is about constructing and analyzing protocols that prevent third parties or the public from reading private messages. Why this is important is Bitcoin is a decentralized network. It is public, but it has to be secure. So in order for the network to be secure, and being as it does not involve a third party, like how you have you sending money from one bank to another, or from your one account to another using an intermediary like a bank, Bitcoin network works differently, and so in order for it to be secure, it has to have backed by cryptography. So the argument that cryptography is used to hide codes and prevent oversight is absolutely wrong. So that argument, I really don't understand the basis of that. So if this is something that they have put in their report as cryptography, hiding codes, then I don't see the basis of that. That's the first thing. The second thing is money laundering. So it is also important to note that CBN's position on cryptocurrency is not an outlier, as many countries, central banks, international financial institutions, and distinguished investors and economists have also warned against its use. They say they have all made similar pronouncements based on the significant risk that transacting in cryptocurrencies portend risk of loss of investments, and that is also used for money laundering, and they mention all these countries. Now we'll go into that. Let's talk about the first aspect, money laundering. Now this is a report that you can look at. It's called Chain Analysis, and it's a summary of the scams and darkest things that have happened on the blockchain network. Now, is cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, has Bitcoin been used for illicit transactions? Absolutely. The CBN cited Silk Road and some of the other platforms where you could sell drugs or buy drugs and buy stuff a very, very long time ago. I agree. I've done a video about that before, about Ross Ulrich, who was the owner of Silk Road, and he went to prison for all that stuff. I'm not disputing that. 100% illegal transactions are done on Bitcoin. But let's take a look. So this is total cryptocurrency value sent and received by criminal entities versus criminal shared of all cryptocurrency activity. And if you look at this from 2017, 2020, so when you look at all the cryptocurrency activity, it only accounts for 2% according to this report. Now, this could be wrong. In 2019, criminal activities represented 2% of all cryptocurrency transactions volume, or roughly 21.4 billion worth of transfers. In 2020, the criminal share of all cryptocurrency activity fell to just 3% to 10 billion transactions per volume. So, arguably, yes, not saying that they're not illicit transactions. It happens on, it's happening on Bitcoin with cryptocurrencies, and you can see the value, and you can see that it's not as much as people say it is. So if you look at this, as with the case of 2019, scams made up the majority of all cryptocurrency-related crime at 54% of illicit activity. So it's not by money laundering, it's by scams and by Ponzi schemes. Look at this. In 2020, compared to the use of enormous plus token Ponzi schemes, which took over $2 billion from millions of victims. So what this translates to is, yes, it's used for illicit activity, but it's only a small percentage of transactions on the Bitcoin network in comparison to other transactions that are used for illicit activity. And Ponzi schemes have happened in Bitcoin. I've done a video about this as well. You can see a link of this right above about how you can avoid Ponzi schemes in cryptocurrencies. Anyway, moving right along. So let's just look at this. So the truth is that the actual currency or the tool that is used for most illicit transactions in the world, unfortunately, is the United States dollar. I mean, don't take my word for it. You should watch this. This is a documentary by Netflix that I've watched, and it talks about dirty money. And so there's an episode on this where you should read, where it talks about gold. This is very, very key. You need to watch this. It talks about how behind the quantity of gold flowing into the US each year lies a tangled web of money laundering, illegal mining, and environmental destruction. You should watch this and you see how drug dealers use gold, they use silver, they send it to the United States, and to be fair, maybe unknowingly, that is coming from drug trade, finance these. So it's like money laundering. I mean, it's used for money laundering. The United States don't, unfortunately. You should watch this documentary. Don't take my word for it. You should watch it. So the money laundering argument, I have to disagree. The other thing they mentioned was how other countries have banned Bitcoin as well, like China, Canada, Taiwan, Indonesia. Let's just look at that real quick. And so if you look at this from legality of Bitcoin territory by territory, you can see where it says in European Union is legal, G7 is legal. Let's go to the countries. So Algeria is illegal, Egypt is illegal, Morocco is illegal. That's fine. As you can see in Nigeria, it's legal, but banks cannot use or transact cryptocurrencies, which is the same position like they have mentioned that China and Canada are taking as well. Now let's look at that real quick. If you look at this, Canada, the same thing. It's legal in Canada, but banks just simply cannot handle it, which is the same position that Nigeria has taken. And apart from Canada, if you also look at China, here we go. So it's legal in China, but banks cannot touch it. And when they say it's legal, the financial institutions are not allowed to facilitate Bitcoin transactions, which is the exact same position as in Nigeria. But you can see most of the world, Cambodia, Indonesia, Malaysia, most of the world is actually legal. So why these countries? Well, this is just one thing I've seen. So you notice that central banks are actually creating their own digital currency. This is very interesting. Now, this is not a report that I put together. This is a report by the Bank for International Settlements. Now, if you look at page 12 of this report, you will see that, bingo, central banks are also increasingly collaborating with each other to make their own proof of concept digital currency. And it's shocking that the Bank of Canada, which has also banned Bitcoin as well for their banks to handle, is creating. Could this be the reason why the Bank of Canada is creating their own, is banning cryptocurrencies because they're creating their own digital currency? Is it possible? Another country that was mentioned is China as well. I've done a video about this before. China is actually creating its own digital currency as well. Could that be a reason why they are currencies? I don't know. It's interesting what all these countries may have in common. Algeria, Egypt, Morocco, those could be for other reasons. But so the other countries doing it, to me, is not really a valid argument. So China has their own reasons for wanting to ban this. Same thing, Canada has their reasons. So it doesn't, I don't think Nigeria as a country has to follow other countries just because they are doing this. It should be more of a unique reason like that. So that's the third argument. And the final argument that I'm just going to pull out here was they mentioned that even famed investor Warren Buffett has called cryptocurrencies rat poison squared and a gambling device. Mr. Buffett believes it's a gambling device. So this is the fourth point, is they are quoting that even Warren Buffett agrees. Well, honestly, I think that Warren Buffett is one of the greatest investors of our time. I think so. I think he's a very smart man, and obviously because he's one of the richest people in the world, he must be a very smart person. But unfortunately, with age, he doesn't invest in technology companies. And now, somebody who does is Elon Musk. Now, Elon Musk arguably is one of the greatest inventors of this time. And Elon Musk has invested company through Tesla. Tesla has their cash reserves, and they've invested about $1.5 billion in Bitcoin. And going forward, Tesla is going to accept cryptocurrency payments. So even though they quoted, Elon Musk, or even though it's another quoted that, yes, even Warren Buffett agrees, well, Warren Buffett doesn't invest in tech companies. He's like, when I'm 67, I've been in tech for 20 years. But my kids, when I'm 60, 80 years old, my kids are going to know more about, no matter what area of tech I know, the younger generation is always going to know more than the older generation. It's just the way it is. So just because Warren Buffett has done it doesn't mean. So to me, I don't see any valid arguments from this report that really justifies what they are doing. And innovations in Nigeria's payment system was catalyzed and by regulatory reforms. And it talks about all the electronic payment channels in Nigeria, in mobile money, electronic payments. I'm not knocking these things, they are good. But unfortunately, it's like me saying that I'm the best person at using a typewriter when the entire world has moved on to something else. It's like me bragging about how I'm the best at riding a horse when the entire world is moving to a different system and the entire world is using cars. And I'm like, oh yes, but my horse works for me. So yes, you're good and Nigeria is fantastic at current payment systems, but do we want to be fantastic at the current payment systems, or do we want to start looking at the future? So I just need some clarifying questions from I guess from the CBN. One is the Central Bank of Nigeria creating its own digital currency? Is it possible that down the line the Central Bank will come and say, maybe not create their own digital currency, because I don't know if they're going in that direction, but say, well, we have appointed a regulatory body or a crypto exchange that will be run by or managed by the Central Bank of Nigeria? Is that the direction they're going while they're doing this? Is that one thing that could happen? Or two, is it possible that there are other things that are going on that they're not mentioning or placing in this report? Because I don't see how this really addresses our concerns of or why we don't think that cryptocurrencies should be Bitcoin and cryptocurrency should be banned, or why financial institutions should not be able to handle cryptocurrencies, because we need financial institutions for the off and on ramps for cryptocurrency. So this is just not a convincing argument in my personal opinion. So here's my conclusion. My conclusion is that cryptocurrency is the future. Systems move, people move from old systems to new systems, whether it's in medicine, whether it's in finances. The first form of money was gold and silver, which I would argue and say we had a belief in God, because you can call gold and silver God's money. And so people in every system move from a belief in God, which is even like with medicine in the old days, people used to believe in herbalists and believe that people will come from they would believe in the deities. I'm tired. So every system moves from quote unquote a reliance on God to reliance on people to reliance on data. It just works that way. And so from God's money, which is gold and silver, to reliance on people like governments, and while we have government issued fiat currencies, to a belief in data. And this is where the world is going. Crypto is the future, and I believe that Nigeria should follow this moving train as opposed to holding back and saying copying other countries for whatever reason. I strongly believe that the Central Bank of Nigeria should revisit this, take a better look at this. Don't worry about, yes, I do agree that there are a lot of illicit transactions that are going on in Bitcoin. Even if it's 2%, it might be a lot, especially if it's leaning towards in our part of the world where you have illicit transactions that are going on and people are being defrauded, and maybe they're using Bitcoin for doing that. Yes, it's a tough problem, but I believe what the Central Bank needs to do is to find a solution to that problem. The great companies in the world, the Googles, the Facebooks of the world, were created by people solving difficult problems, not running away from them. Yes, there are challenges in the crypto space, but I really, really think that Nigeria should embrace that. And to you out there, as opposed to waiting for what the central bank will do, I think you need to educate yourself on cryptocurrencies, because this is where the world is going. The final thing I'll say is this: if you look at this, 402 payment required, this is a protocol that was built in every single web browser years ago. When the initial web browser was built back in the 80s, there are different protocols. Like if you look for a website that doesn't exist, it will say 404. 404 means page not found. But this 402 payment required has been built in browsers from the day browsers were formed. What this means is that even when the first browser was built, the designers of the Netscape Navigator, whatever browser, foresaw that a time will come that people will be transmitting money over the internet. They saw it even decades ago. So this is something that is inevitable, and it's something that we should take control. We should embrace and not try to ban. So if you're out there, please learn more about cryptocurrencies. Please watch these videos. Please take time to educate yourself, because only you have full responsibility of your financial future. And so, until next time, my wish for you is that you learn more about cryptocurrencies, because crypto is changing and will change the world, especially in the distributed ledger, in the finance and monetary space. And those who get involved early, in my personal opinion, will greatly impact the future. And if that's you, let's go change the world.